Hey guys, Mike here. So, oh boy, what a red day in the market. And I'm telling you what, the old saying is when China has a cold, I believe it is, the whole world gets the sniffles. Okay. And I've told you day after day, more news keeps rolling out, or more news rolled out today. And everybody went, oh my goodness. Right. And, obviously the market, especially when it's already in a downtrend, when it's starting to sell off in a weakness, it's always amazing how all this news comes out when it's actually been sitting there for a long time coming out of China. We just basically the market ignored it like it ignored everything else. And so I'm going to show that to you. I'll show you, really how, I guess, bad in the way it is in China and stuff. And we're going to go over something that smart money is doing, which, is very interesting. And I'll tell you, I think I know why they're doing it, or maybe you have a better idea. And then, especially looking at the index in some stocks that desperately need a bounce because they're hanging on a razor thin edge from a big fall. So we'll go into that and everything, guys. And if you see right here, obviously China comes out with retail sales, rises 2.5%, not even close. Estimates 4%. China January July fixed investment rises 3.4. Sounds great. Nope. Not even close. Estimate was 3.7. And then their industrial output, which is their bread and butter, rises 3.7. Estimate was 4.3. But it's not just that. You got other things going on, like, China set for more MLF maturity starting in August. And so the loans worth about $400 billion are starting to mature. I did a video on this last year, right? And now that's starting to happen, and it's starting to worry a lot of people because you're seeing a lot of big entities all of a sudden saying, hey, we can't make a payment, or we may need to delay a payment and all this stuff, and it's freaking people out. And one of those I never even heard of. I don't think most people had ever heard of it, but I put this in yesterday's morning news brief, which says China's banking regulator has set up a task force to examine risk at, and I'm going to murder this name, Zhongzi Enterprise Group, one of the nation's top private wealth managers, after a unit missed payments on multiple high-yield investment products. The National Financial Regulatory Administration established a working group last month to gauge the outstanding debt and risk at one of the main financing arms of Beijing-based Zhongxi, which oversees more than 1 trillion yuan, which is about 138 billion in assets, according to people familiar with the matter, who asked not to be identified. And can you imagine why? On a side note, I put in there, Country Garden, China's largest private developer, is seeking to delay payment on a private onshore bond for the first time, a source said, after suspending trading on 11 onshore bonds. So as you can see, obviously not great news coming out of there. The other news was their unemployment for their 16 to 24-year-olds. Like, this is insane to me. Just look at how bad this is. 16 to 24, unemployment 21.3%. Obviously, if this was a stock, you'd love it because it's been trending up over the last few years here, and I'll scroll down and show you. Overall unemployment, actually, not horrific if you look at it here, and we're going to scroll down in just a second and show you, and then I'm going to compare this to our unemployment here, because you may think, maybe young people don't work and stuff. Well, obviously that's been trending up since 2019, but you can see, 5.3% overall, a little bit less than that for 25 to 59-year-olds. But to show you how bad this is, in America, we've only breached that number once, and that's when we shut down the world. Normally, you look at anywhere from, what do you think, like 10% unemployment over the last, many years here. And you can see what it is now, 8% compared to their 23%. But, hey, nothing to see here, right? I guess maybe your young folks are just on TikTok and they don't like to do stuff. But, that's not good for your economy when your young people aren't employed. And what's a huge red flag is when China announces they're going to cut off this data now. They're not going to allow anybody to know what the unemployment for this age group is anymore. So that'll kind of let you know they don't really see much improvement coming. So that leads me to this right here. You see a $1.8 billion outflow last week from TLT, right? That's the 20-year treasury ETF. It's very popular and stuff. Some people have been playing calls, puts, everything on this thing. And I guarantee most people didn't know what TLT was before 2020, but now pretty much everybody knows what it is. And obviously the biggest one we've seen since 2019. And it's interesting to see them do this now, because if you notice, like yields, which I put on here, this is TLT, and I put the 10-year yield, as you can see, which is about to actually either hit a double top or break out again. And what you can see is they usually have an inverse relationship, right? So if, the yields start to top out and they start to roll over, TLT should benefit. That's usually how it works. So a lot of people must be thinking, you know what? I don't think this is going to work out, and I'm getting the heck out of here now. And I think a real reason for this is because it lost a crucial level right here on 99, another one at 97, and so now it's hanging on for dear life at 95. And so again, these are psychological levels, as you can see, had plenty of support to it and stuff, and it just doesn't seem to be happening right now. And if the Fed continues to raise rates and yields do actually continue to go higher, that will absolutely crush TLT. And so maybe that's why people are doing it. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. And guys, before we continue, if you get anything out of this, please hit that thumbs up down there. I really appreciate it. And if you like the material here and the videos, think about subscribing. And that leads me into the market. And in just a few minutes, I'm going to talk about yields and touch on those a little bit more, that I think is a really important thing to keep track of and stuff. So if you look here on your indexes though, I mean, you see the SPY is holding on for dear life on this 50 moving average right here. It finally did fill another gap, so I can take that gap out. So that's nice to actually be able to clean up the chart some more. But again, still in that channel when you broaden out and everything after this huge run up and stuff. But when you look at it, I mean, I've told you, for those who missed it, this is the 8 and 21 EMAs. Once that crossed, usually you're looking at anywhere from a 5 to 7% pullback. That's what's been happening over the last year and a half. And so obviously, you know, if that takes place now, and it won't be straight down, but if it takes place, you know, you're looking maybe to put us down at that lower trend line, really. I mean, the lower trend line is about 4% out. And so that would overall be a total of around 7 to 8% drop. And so, you know, and then when you look in the Qs, what are you seeing on the 30-minute chart? Just nothing but lower highs right now, right? And there's that trend line. That trend line is what it's hanging on to. It already got its bounce. It's sitting on it today. And so, you know, just keep that in mind. That's what I'm talking about. That goes all the way back to the beginning of 2023 right there. So, you know, it's important. Again, it's already lost its 50. It's nowhere near coming down to the 100. But if the market continues to weaken, yields continue to break out, yeah, I mean, you can see right here what it's setting up for. So again, you know, no surprise. I've been talking about it for weeks upon weeks about being overstretched, needing a pullback and everything like that, okay? Again, this news coming out of China is helping, continuing to push us over, along with the, obviously, Fitch downgrade, the other downgrade we got as well from the other rating agency. And so everything's piling on at once, right? Which I always find to be kind of funny and everything. Now, when you look over here and you go to IWM, I mean, this one was just a mess. I mean, it's coming down in this descending channel here. It did finally break its 50, which I've been talking about. Right here around 387 is where you're going to need that bounce. But it's going to bounce, okay? So just keep that in mind. But again, this one had that 8 and 21 cross as well, which we talked about. And so this is not a surprise. Now, Nvidia, this is the one that is a surprise. I guess it shouldn't be a surprise, but it's just amazing to me to watch a mega cap on no news move up 12% in basically 24 hours. I mean, that is crazy. Just look at that right there. Obviously, it came up with that volume node and volume profile, got rejected, sitting in this gap, moved back down throughout the day. Yesterday, look at that candle. That was crazy. Oh, 6% in one day. Oh, my Lord. You know, but what are they doing? You see a lot of upgrades. You see it running up into earnings. Tell me if it sounds familiar, by the way. Because this is what happened to a lot of other mega caps before they got thrown in the dumpster. We'll see. I mean, if they hit earnings, give great guidance, they'll continue to go. But it's almost like we're seeing this movie all over again. And then, of course, here's Tesla falling out of this falling wedge right here. And usually dip buyers will come in and push it back up, but they just wasn't able to do it today. Again, this was one of those ones you didn't want to lose 235 on and stuff. We had talked about it. And so now you're kind of sitting there going, well, we are oversold. And so you've been calling for a bounce, a bounce, a bounce. Again, you're in this volume gap. I mean, and the way Tesla moves, it's almost like Nvidia is stealing its thunder, right? If Nvidia wasn't having all this money piling to it, they'd be piling into Tesla. But right now, there's just no catalyst. There's nobody. There's no just boatloads of calls being bought. You know, Elon's being quiet. So, you know, and that's what moves Tesla, right? And so it hasn't, you know, it's already done earnings. So it needs some kind of catalyst. When all that news coming out of China, though, right now about them slowing down, that's not good for Tesla. They get a lot of revenue from Tesla. And I did find this interesting right here. This is somebody put this on here, and all these were supposed to be Tesla killers. And look at these stocks right here. You know, down 100%, down 99%, down 98%. That one right there is bankrupt. Down 90%, 88%, fiscal to 82%. I mean, just amazing of how none of these companies have really gotten a whole boatload of traction and everything in the EV industry. But, you know, that's why you obviously see, as I showed you yesterday, BlackRock's been buying Tesla for a long time. All the big boys buy Tesla. because it is the number one, whether you like it or not and stuff. And they got a big head start on a lot of companies. And so that leads me into something very important, right? This is the 10-year yield right here. This is October when it rolled over and we want to start going on this rally. Okay, I don't care if you want to call it a new bear market, pause rally, whatever you want to call it, right? We've been moving up and we're very close to being right there again. Question is it going to actually move and break out above this, or are we going to end up getting another rollover from this? And if it rolls over again, the market should actually like it. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. Again, we'll have to see and stuff, and we'll see if it breaks that trend line as well. So that's something to keep in mind. But if you look, and what I'm talking about here is this is the 10-year yield, and I'm going to add in the Qs, okay? And so that's high beta. And, I was showing the members this earlier, when you look at it, there's an inverse relationship normally, okay? You saw it play out many times. The yields went up, high beta stuff went down, yields went up, high beta stuff went down. Then all of a sudden, they said, up the heck with it, we're just going to keep moving up, right? And this is where you hear people say, well, man, they're just ignoring the bond market. These rates are so high and everything. And this was this, oh, no, they're going to pause rally, right? And you'll see this, if you go back in history and just look at this chart, scroll back, you'll see it multiple times when the market goes on this pause rally. And the bond market's telling them, it's like, nah, it's not going to be that easy, man. It's not going to be that easy. And so this can give you that first cue to say, oof, okay, I know what kind of rally this is. Doesn't mean you can't play it, but just understand what it is. And because usually the bond market is more correct than the stock market, okay? Because that's what they deal in, is debt and credit all day long, right? Which is risk. And so that leads me into some other stocks. And PayPal, obviously, I just told you, what was it, Sunday or Monday, I said, man, this thing's still in stage one. Just be careful if you're buying in, because it's just sitting down here and there's no love for it, honestly. I mean, it's sold down 6% today. And you can see, like, stage 4 is over there. This is stage 1, still trying to base out. Still haven't been able to break out in stage 2 yet. And so, a lot of resistance up ahead right here before it gets there. And when you really look at this, the key level to keep in mind, I said this, what was it, 3 months ago, whatever it was when it got here again, is around $58-ish. And the reason why it needs to hold that is critical, because there isn't any support, right? Right there, as you can see, I'm going to zoom in right here. The move up was so fast right here, and they just wasn't able to build any support. I mean, it was a 32% move in 98 days, right? And so if it breaks, it's like a dam breaking. So just keep that in mind. BABA, obviously, as long as China's putting out these kind of details and everything, then, it's going to be a hot mess. And so, it continues to go down. Should not be a surprise. Again, that trend line is key that I'm looking at right there. It is oversold. Usually when it gets oversold, you get some kind of relief rally up here. When you look at this, honestly, scrolling out, I mean, what do you see? Lower highs, right? Going all the way across. So this hadn't hit stage 2. People keep saying stage 2. I'm like, no, it hadn't. Had stage 4, still basing out. So again, you got to get up there above 100 and stuff to really confirm that kind of stuff. And so, multiple breakouts or false breakouts will always go, here we go again. But when you look at it and you pull out, you look at China and say, well, this is one of those areas where you think, looks like it's trying to form a bottom. When you really pull out, you can't predict what's going to happen in China, but these are just really beaten down stocks. Like their own country destroyed them, right? So just keep that in mind, which is why a lot of eyes are on them. Palantir, obviously a popular one. We talked about this. It's holding that 15 level. If that breaks, definitely going down to 13.50, somewhere in there, because there just isn't any support to hold it up from there. So, but right now it's holding, and everybody keeps buying those dips. Now, Shopify is another one. Huge sell-off here, sitting right above a very big gap from earnings. Actually, 2 earnings ago, it never filled. And so again, in this volume profile gap, so it's sitting on the precipice here. I mean, like I said, some of these stocks are just sitting there going, oof, man, it could be some more big falling going on here. And it would be actually smart for it to fill that gap. We'll see if that's what happens. Now, you're talking about earnings. You're looking at Target tomorrow, Cisco in the afternoon, maybe Stone people pay attention to. And so, again, nothing that should move markets. TGX is another one as well, all about the retailers. And when you look over here, really the only thing to pay attention to the market's going to care about is FOMC minutes, because manufacturing data keeps coming out a hot mess and the market's like, whatever. But those FOMC minutes will most likely show us the projections of what they're looking at as far as rate hikes going forward. Again, the Fed presidents have been out here all week talking and stuff, saying, well, there's no rate cuts in the future, anything anytime soon, maybe next June or something, which would make sense. But, as far as like they see any more rate hikes, and the question is, if they come out and you see the majority of them are projecting no more rate hikes, how's the market going to react? That's what you really have to try to figure out. And again, nobody really knows that. You would think it's like, oh, it's going to be bullish, just keep going, But the fact they're holding them much longer than what the market anticipated and stuff, that's really I think the bigger story, because like we said, I mean, you're seeing it around the globe. It's going to take effect. It always takes effect. Historically, it always has. This time it's just taking a lot longer because people got a whole boatload of freaking money. I saw one the other day. It was sitting there. I mean, you got to think about this. If there's 5.5 trillion in money market accounts and you're averaging about 4.5%, well, I think when I did the calculation, don't quote me on this and check me, but I think it was like 37 billion in interest every month being earned or something like that. Something crazy, man. It was something like that. But that's a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? So just keep that in mind and stuff. I mean, just think about it in those senses, and that's making the Fed's job even harder, right? And so just something we got to keep an eye on. But again, tomorrow we'll see what happens. I mean, every time you think, the pre-market's green, we go red. Pre-market's red, we go green. But right now, a lot of pressure on the market. And again, I know there's going to be these relief rallies here and there, but I'm trying to think like what the catalyst is going to be, or what positive news can you possibly have, right? That the market's going to try to feed off of is really what you're looking for. So, and again, I always tell people, just whatever stocks you like, and if you've been buying them way up here, if you were buying Apple at 200 or whatever it got to, why wouldn't you like Apple 175? You were buying this stock at 70 and now it's sitting at 45 or something, but that's usually what happens is people will buy at 75 when everything's roaring up. And then when you finally get the drop, they won't touch it with a 10-foot pole, right? And again, you can't predict if we're going to move lower or not, right? And so, but again, it's one of those things where you have to set your price target. That's the key. You had to say, okay, I feel comfortable here, right? Or if you go, I think we're going much lower, then don't buy. Just sit there and wait. You don't have to catch a falling knife, right? Like with PayPal, you don't have to catch it. You can try, but you can also wait for it to turn back up and go, okay, feeling a little better about this. What's the market doing, right? Because PayPal is going to move how the market moves. That's just the way it is. Like all fintechs getting destroyed right now. And most stocks are getting destroyed right now. It was a bloodbath in the last few days. So just keep that in mind. Anyway, just want to put that out there to you. So hit the like and subscribe button if you got anything out of it. Really appreciate it. And I'll see you tomorrow.